All right, this is Unit 3, Notes 1. Go ahead and label that at the top. The topic is solving one-step equations, addition and subtraction. So let's take a look at the warm-up. If we were given x plus 2 equals 5, what does x have to equal, and how do you know this? Think about it for a second on your own. So what plus 2 gives us 5? 3, right? So x is equal to 3, because 3 plus 2 equals 5. Oops. Because 3 plus 2 equals 5. All right, so we're going to figure out how to solve for x with a little bit tougher equations, and we did this last year, so this should be a little bit of a review, but you should be able to know it by the end of this unit. All right, so inverse operations. It says the equation above is known as a one-step equation and can be solved using inverse operations. It's a one-step equation because we only need to do one step to solve for x. Inverse operations undo each other, or I'm going to say cancel out each other. That's the word we use a lot. So let's say we have addition. What do you think the inverse operation of addition is? It would be subtraction. So the inverse of subtraction is addition. And then obviously we have multiplication and division. Those are inverse operations of each other also. So let's take a look at the steps. It says step 1, locate the variable. Remember, so x, y, z, whatever that variable is. Now it says determine the operation tied to the variable. So you're looking to see, okay, what's happening? Multiplication. Well, let's just write them out. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. You are asking yourself which one of these is taking place. And then you want to use the inverse operation of whatever is taking place so that you can solve. So you want to get the variable by itself. Get variable by itself. Write this down on one side of that equals sign. That's what step number 3 is saying, or what you get when you do step number 3. So let's take a look at number 1. It says x plus 14 equals 30. We see addition, right? That's a positive 14 that we're adding it to the x. So what is the inverse of that addition? Yes, the inverse would be subtraction. So we are going to subtract 14 to undo or to cancel out the 14 on that side. Now we need to keep our equations balanced or equal, which means whatever we do to one side of the equal sign, so like here's the equal sign, right? We have a left side and we have a right side. So on that left side, I'm subtracting 14. And this is where you combine terms. So we have 14 minus 14, which gets us 0, or it just cancels out, right? It gets us 0. So on that side, all we have left is x. In the middle, we have our equal sign. And now we also need to subtract 14 from this side. So on the right side, we have 30 minus 14, which will give us 16. So we just solved for x. That was one-step equation. Here's our answer. X equals 16. Now, step number 4, it says check your solution. We won't check every single one on the notes today, but you do need to learn how to check. So what you do for check is just is just plug in. So if we have x equals 16, that is what we're going to plug into our equation. I'm just going to rewrite our equation. It was x plus 14 equals 30. Okay, and now just like we've done before, we want to plug x in. So we think that x equals 16. We're going to plug it in right there for the x, and I'm going to rewrite. So I have 16 plus 14 equals 30. Okay, I'm gonna actually do this over here on this side. 16 plus 14, if you do it in your head or on a calculator, you're gonna get 30. I'm gonna bring down everything else, my equal sign and my 30. Obviously 30 is equal to 30. It's the same number, right? So I'm just gonna put a check mark so that I know, okay, I checked it. It made sense when I plugged it in. We did it correctly, so x equals 16. All right, let's go ahead and move on to number 2. So number 2, we have 2 plus y equals -4. So what is so step number 2, if you're looking up here, what is the operation with the variable? So here's our variable, y. What operation is happening? All right, it would be addition. And so what would be the inverse of addition? That would be subtraction. So we have this 2, or it's a positive 2, so the opposite of that would be a negative, right? So we need to subtract 2 on both sides. So remember right here, my equal sign, that's the middle. On both sides, I subtracted 2, so I'm keeping the equation balanced. On my left side, I have 2 minus 2, which is just 0. So I'm just going to bring down my positive y, bring down my equal sign. I have -4 minus 2, that gets me -6. So my answer is y equals -6. Again, let's plug this in so we can check. I'm going to rewrite. I had 2 plus y equals -4. That's my equation. Now let's plug this -6 in right here. So I'll have 2 plus -6 equals -4. I have this plus minus next to each other. It's going to switch to just 2 minus 6. 2 minus 6, use your calculator if you need to. That's going to get you -4. Does -4 equal -4? Well, obviously it does. A little check mark there to show that we checked our solution. All right, we're going to flip onto the back. And let's go ahead and take a look at number 5. Or sorry, number 7. Number 7 says y minus 5 equals 4. So the operation that's happening here is subtraction, or we have a -5, whatever you want to look at it. So we need to add to cancel it out or to undo the operation. So we're going to add 5 on this side of the equal sign. Let's break it up with that little line and add 5 on that side. So that means I have -5 plus 5. These cancel out. I'm left with 0. So the only thing I have left over there is a y. Bring my equal sign down. 4 plus 5 gets us 9. So there's my answer. Now I want you to pause the video here and check the answer on your own, just like we did on the first 2 problems. Okay, you should have done this on your own. If you haven't finished it yet, just pause now and do it. So check. You should have done y minus 5 equals 4. Plug in that 9. 9 minus 5 equals 4. So I'm solving this side now. Right here, I'm doing this. 9 minus 5 gets us 4. I'm just going to bring this stuff down right here. And a little check mark because 4 equals 4. Now, if I end up getting like, let's say, I'm going to write up here. I had 10 minus 5 equals 4. I would do 10 minus 5, which is 5. And then bring down equals 4. Clearly 5 does not equal 4. They are not the same number. So that means I made a mistake in my original solution. So I need to find my mistake. Let's skip down to number 13. I have -4 plus w equals 19. Now this one's set up a little different, a little trickier. What operation is happening here? I know we see a plus sign, so we're thinking addition. But we're adding it with a negative. So we really just need to look at whatever sign is with the constant. Remember, here's my variable, w, and here's my constant, -4. Since it is not a positive 4, we are no longer going to use subtraction to cancel it out. This is a negative 4. So what's the opposite of a negative? That is adding, or a positive. So we are going to add 4 to both sides. Okay. So on this side, negative 4 plus 4 gets 0. I'm left with 0 plus w, which is just w. Then I have 19 plus 4 gets me 23. So that is my answer. Go ahead, pause here and do number 14 on your own. All right, you should have paused the video to solve 14 on your own, and you should have ended up with negative 15 equals p. To get there, all you had to do was add 3 to both sides of your equation. All right, number 15. First, we have to set up our expression. It says the sum of a number, I'm just going to say x is just common. The sum, so I need a plus, of a number, I used x, and 6. So x plus 6 is 32. So I'm going to circle that word is right here, and let's write a note on the side. When you see the word is, that just means equal or equals. So x plus 6 equals or is 32. Now we can solve. So that's a positive 6 or a plus 6. So we will subtract 6 from both sides of our equation, and we get x equals 26. Go ahead and try numbers 16 through 20, so the rest of them on the bottom, on your own. Pause here, write out the expressions, and then go ahead and play the video and see if you got your answers correct. All right. You should have set up your equations like this. Number 16, 12 plus x equals 24. Number 17, x minus 8 equals 11. Number 19, x minus 9 equals 5. Number 19, 7, oops, not s. 7 is equal to a number plus 6. And number 20, the sum, so plus, of a number and negative 4 is or equals negative 18. If you did not set those up correctly, make sure you change that now and then erase and try to solve for x again. All right, so number 16, you should have subtracted 12 from both sides and you would get x equals 12. Number 17, you would have added 8 to both sides, so you get x equals 19. Number 18, you should have added 9 to both sides, so we get x equals 14. Number 19, you should have subtracted 6 from both sides, so you would get 1 equals x, or x equals 1. And number 20, you could have changed this to x minus 4 equals negative 18, and you would have to add 4 to both sides to cancel it out. So we get x equals negative 14. Now, if you got a few of these wrong and you don't understand it, pause, ask for help, and figure out where you're making your mistakes.